My name is Monika Wiatrowska, and I'm Operations Manager at Avantpage. And today I wanted to share the story about how my company tried to save 100 hours with XTRF. And, well, process automation is nothing new. Henry Ford knew already very well about it. And when he built the first assembly line over 100 years ago, he actually managed to save a lot of hours. And nowadays we have all the tools and technology to do the same, to save our time, without even going out from our desktops. So here is the story of an LSP looking to save 100 man-hours. Now, I know it may not seem to be much, but actually it is 5% of a full-time worker's year. And this time can be used in different ways, right? Like other revenue-driving tasks, working directly with clients on resolving issues, enjoying a nice cup of cappuccino, simply. So, how did the story start? Over past years, we noticed in the company that we started to adding complexity to our projects. We started to adding a lot of categories, specialization, project-specific instructions, and well, we ended up spending a lot of time on project management. We became of need to organize our data. We faced the fact that every client has different needs, and almost all projects are very time sensitive. This is why we wanted to bring those numbers down, and we started to look for some process optimizations, especially for manual repetitive tasks. And the XTRF feature has helped us with this challenge. And we thought about automations. Here is why. Accuracy means that the process is less prone to human error or typos. Consistency means that routine tasks are performed with the same way each and every time. Reliability, because macros and periodic jobs can work tirelessly 24/7 without any interruptions. Productivity, because process time are much faster compared to manual work. Happy employee, because project managers can dedicate time on more engaging work and they can sometimes enjoy a nice cup of cappuccino. Savings, because time is money. You may wonder, when is actually the best time to automate processes? Here is when. If you start adding complexity to your projects, if you spend hours renaming, updating, copying and pasting information, or filling hundreds of spreadsheet cells, when you get bored of doing repetitive tasks, when you run the risk of introducing human error, for example, into your reporting, and when you realize that the time spent on project management gets costly. Now is the time to automate your processes. What are our XTRF optimizations? I'm not enlisting all of them, but some of the most important. Modifying information by manually applying macros. Preparing reports by using customized views and applying macros. Using periodic jobs or smart folders. Applying XTRF XTM connector to our projects. Preparing smart new job notification. So let's take a closer look into our XTRF optimizations. Modifying information by executing macro manual. We modify data in a batch, just with one click for almost any scope that we want to. For example, we can add now a project information like categories, specialization, cut receivables, discount or surcharges, payables, instructions. We can even automate the invoice creation. Reporting. We are generating customized reports, manipulating data with macros. And then we have those reports being sent to our emails by using periodic jobs. We do that to our client satisfaction survey report or multiple invoicing reports that we share with our clients. Periodic jobs. They enable us to execute macro whenever we want it. As I mentioned before, they can work 24 hours without us being logged in to XTRF with the frequency we need and on the view we want. We can combine macros and periodic jobs to automate changes in projects, tasks, or jobs. Smart folders. We are using smart folders to create projects automatically with predefined workflow definitions and with categories or instructions already attached to them. XTRF XTM connector. I know the CAT tool connectors are far away from being perfect, but they are still a huge time savers. We use XTM templates to assign linguists automatically, to block ice matches, for example, to apply penalty profiles to our XTM projects, also to add any metadata we need to our XTM projects. We import receivables and payables from XTM to XTRF, and we also import-export source files and translated files back from XTM. Intelligent new job notification. Because of the variety of projects, we came to design a new job notification that is based on a set of rules. Those rules can be based on category, on the client, on a specialization, and many more. And this notification only displays the relevant information to the recipient, whoever is the recipient. So it saves a lot of time to project managers. Instead of inserting specific information for instruction for any project scenario, you have it in your job notification. And finally, something for management team. Another interesting optimization we came to deploy in Avantpage is something we called XTRF dashboard for self-monitoring. It is inspired by self-directed team, and our project managers can now self-monitor their workloads. They make sure that they do not miss to add any relevant information to their projects. They also get a bigger picture, better idea of what their workload is, so they can plan their work ahead of time. Also, it's not only a time saver for project managers, it's also great time saver for management team when dealing with KPIs. And the question is, where did we save 100 hours? I'm sorry to tell you that we did not. On review, it turned out that we didn't save 100 hours. We actually saved almost 1,000 hours a year, and we became quite closely to save 80 hours monthly. Those are just estimates made on our biggest clients with more volume and highest number of repetitive tasks. So let's check how we did save those 1,000 hours. With using XTRF XTM connector, even though it's far away from being perfect and it still requires some project management time, it is a huge, huge time saver. Because projects are created directly in XTM. Because of using templates, we assign linguists, we block ice matches, we add metadata we need, we import-export files, and we import payables or receivables. Macros and periodic jobs. So I took into account last 12 months and only our top clients, and it turned out that we've been spending about 10 hours monthly on just adding simple information to our projects, like categories, specialization, special instructions, client billing information, etc. And now it's all done by macros and periodic jobs within a couple of minutes. Automated invoicing. We spend a lot of time on invoicing our clients, especially when we have a special invoicing process for clients that invoice once a month, for example. It took us about 1 business day to invoice those clients. Now, it's done within a couple of minutes and it's done automatically. We have some clients that specify the limit of the amount on the invoice, or maybe there must be invoicing done weekly or daily or by just one file or one project, etc. It all can be now achieved very easily with combining periodic jobs and macros. Output files sent to Microsoft Teams. For very repetitive projects where we have them a lot on a daily basis, we can now export output files of a desired job type into our communicator from Microsoft Teams, instead of downloading files after proofing or after last step of translation and going 30 or 50 times back to XTRF and downloading file by file. You can now receive a zip with all those files into Microsoft Teams and you can perform your job faster. New job notification. It is simply reducing human error. Prevents us on spending time to trying to correct potential errors. As you can see, it's not much quantifiable, but we all know that fixing an error takes a lot of time. We could enjoy a cup of cappuccino instead. So, my presentation came to an end, and I shared with you the experience with us working with XTRF. I hope you found it helpful and inspiring. If you have any questions, I hope I can reply to them now. If not, we can chat after the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so anyone? Any questions for Monika for now? Here we go.
Thank you. So I would like to ask you about the intelligent job notifications.
That's our name for it.
Where do you do the choosing? So did you modify the templates to have some complex choice mechanic built in? Yeah, so you did the templates.
Correct.
And how big is your new job template? So you don't you have to have a lot of lines for that?
Correct.
Wow.
But it's all worth it. I'm not doing this part, so you know. I have people who do that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yes, it is a great idea. And it's worth spending your time on designing this, because the time you save after that, it's...
Yeah, I think we'll implement this as well. So thank you for the inspiration.
You're welcome.
Hi, Bartosz XTRF, which might be important for the question. Monika, you said that you missed your goal of 100 hours basically by a heartbeat. Can you please tell us what we could do as a company to help you achieve this goal? What else can be automated or what else can be done for you to achieve your 100 hours goal?
Can we talk one-on-one? I know there can be done many more things. Maybe from the end user perspective, that would be good. I know that you're running the user echo, and it's a great initiative, but there are plenty of great ideas there that could be implemented, or that already the features that are designed could be explored a little bit more to actually meet all our expectations, you know. They have a great potential, but there is always something else that could be done, so they are very complete and they are meeting our needs. So, but I'm happy to tell you more after.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, here we go.
Hello, please could you give some examples of periodic jobs you use? Some real examples. Otherwise, this sounds very good, but some real examples. Thank you.
Okay, maybe invoicing creation. We have our clients have different needs to create invoicing. Some of them, they want an invoice every single project is closed. Some of them, they want an invoice for projects closed past week, and some of them for projects closed past month. And then there are also different criteria, like I want invoice from past month being filtered by a billing contact person. So everything that you can do manually in XTRF, it's 99% sure you can do it with macro and with periodic job. An example of periodic job for this invoicing is that last business day of each month, we have a special view prepared for this client's invoicing, filtered by billing information, by close date, and this periodic job scans the view of, I don't know, let's say 500 projects closed past month, and it sends to my email 3 invoices from those 500 projects. There is one big invoice that is less of a certain amount of money for billing contact person A. There is another big invoice for the same client for billing contact B, and the same for billing contact C. And they all are less than $2,000 because this is another requirement from the client. So you see we are meeting a lot of different client requirements within one periodic job. Not sure. I can also explain to you after.
Okay, thank you very much. We have those.
There was one.
Okay, one more. Sorry. Notice.
I see that you're using the CAT connector with XTM, so you're using the classic projects.
Correct.
Do you use a hybrid? Do you use smart projects at all, or just solely classic?
We are not using smart projects yet because we focused on connecting a couple of years ago XTRF to XTM. So we are only constantly measuring if we could move some of our production to smart projects, the production that is not taking advantage of XTM connector, but when we do measure, it turns out that it's still more convenient to stay with classic, but using the connector. It's saving us much more time.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Monika. As we promised, inspiring talks. Let's hear from Monika. Okay, so we have 2 more presentations for you guys. And the next one is from Donna, Meyer from OmniLingua, and she will talk about integration with Tableau.
Good afternoon. Everybody had their coffee after lunch. We'll try to do this so we're not putting everybody to sleep. I have 2 disclaimers before we get started. The first one I have is that I came here to learn and to really solve problems and to hear what everybody else is doing. So I really have to change my head around to give this presentation and actually share what we're doing. And my second disclaimer is what I'm going to share with you is not rocket science. I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of the keynote presentation this morning and tell you that some of this is about buzzwords. Some of it is about selling what we want to give our customers some confidence about in terms of information and how we use our data and how we run our business. So what I'm going to present is going to be short and sweet and very small piece of what we do. And one other disclaimer, I am also here to say that this is not about our advantage or some special magical tool that we're using. This is really about how, as a growing company and as we're adding more users to our system, we really want XTRF to focus on the core functionality of XTRF. We really love the functionality and the core project work that we do with XTRF. And so what we're looking for is how can we add some of those ancillary support projects and products and APIs and things like that to help all of this come together and using technology. So the presentation is a little bit about what do you know? XTRF is a huge gold mine. We use classics. We have not converted over to smart projects yet. So some of what we're doing might get resolved a little bit differently in the future. But the way we look at XTRF in our organization is it's full of useful data. But if we're not using that data, all we're doing is just running projects and invoicing clients, right? How is that competitive? It's not. If we can't do it faster and more efficient internally, I need to find a way to actually make it a sales tool as well. So really, what this is about is what do you know? The data entry can be tedious. What's the old rule of thumb? Data, garbage in, garbage out, right? So we have to mandate sometimes that we're entering good data. And what I'm hoping from XTRF is that they're going to support us with more and more efficient ways to get that data in the system, right? Because it's valuable. But there can be a lot learned about your teams. But how do you get that out? Through XTRF, we have some standard options. We've got various views and dashboards, right? Those are helpful. But those views and dashboards are limited in the sense that you can't subtotal something. You can't kind of group that in a certain way and then subgroup it in a different way. It is very helpful, but it's spreadsheet data, right? It's table data. There are reports and charts, which also are very helpful. But what we have found is that some of the reports and the ability to generate some of those user reports for clients in the client portal are a little bit limited. They're basic pivot tables, which is helpful, but yet not necessarily to the extent that we would like to see it. And the new stuff, which by the way, I missed the presentation with Dominic on the Google Cloud stuff, but we've experimented a little bit with Google Sheets connectors and some of the other options to export to Excel. Of course, exporting to Excel is tedious, again, because you have to keep exporting, and then you manipulate all your data and create your graphs and charts and your reports, and we really want to avoid that. It's all about efficiency. So we need more. We wanted reports that can have subtotals. We want to be able to calculate and automate commission calculations. We want to be able to provide information to our vendors, to our clients, to our sales reps, and we just don't feel like we had enough of that with the XTRF platform. I think, again, XTRF has a tremendous ability to gather the data. Now it's our job to figure out how to get it out and use it. We wanted to be able to add our own calculated fields. And we wanted a lot more automatic notifications. The periodic jobs works fantastic for that. But we wanted that data in a little bit different format in some cases. But we do use automated periodic jobs, and we're starting to use a lot more macros also. So another little side note, for anybody that's ISO certified, the latest update to 9001 actually requires, actually suggests, and in some cases our auditor that likes to audit us, says we have to do data information analysis and measurement, specifically doing some statistical analysis ideally. So one of the things that we look for every year in the life sciences support industry is, are we really monitoring the data in our systems, and are we analyzing it for quality control? The requirement actually says this, but nobody ever reads the ISO requirements. But more importantly, we're focused on the degree of customer satisfaction and, of course, performance of our external vendors. And the more data that we can provide to those two partners of ours in a format that shows that we are professional and that we care about the data is really important to us. So even before XTRF, we were dabbling in sort of business analytics and business information using Tableau. So it's a bit of a sophisticated, complex system. I think we still do not use it well, but we use it enough. to work through. So it is something that we've leaned on, and so when Lukasz asked me to put together a presentation, I wanted to share just a few things that we use the data for to help us with our clients and our internal management. One area is client deliveries. We actually create an automated report for our clients and for us internally for our on-time deliveries on a monthly basis, or actually any basis. Anybody can run this on demand, and we also have it subscribed in terms of a schedule so that for a specific client by language or by project, we can see what our on-time delivery metrics are. What you can't see on this screen, and this is the danger about putting together these presentations, you never know what's going to show up here. So you can't see that anything that is below a certain percentage point, in this case, the 0% is obviously highlighted in red, but the 99% is actually a shaded color as well. So it's actually visually pointing you in the direction of where you need to solve your problems. And again, you cannot see this. So we do use the customer satisfaction tool within XTRF and send out some questions. What this will help us do is determine what our average results are in any particular period for those questions, but you cannot see this very well. And this is yet another image you can't see. So I'm going to explain this one because this one's a little bit different. This is a little bit more complex. And when I talk about reports for clients, we do a lot of custom reporting for our clients. In this particular case, we have a client that's very anxious about their projects that are 2,000 words or less. Including formatting and an extra proofread step, they want those projects to turn around in less than 5 days. And so they would like to know how many times are you delivering your projects beyond 5 days and why, and what percentage of them are there. So we can run this report on demand anytime for any period of time, and it will show that, these are the percent of projects, which I think up here is 40-some% of the projects were delivered in 3 days less, 2 days or less, or 1 day or less. Everything from here over is 5 days or less. And then these are, there were, I think, 3% of the projects that were delivered over that period of time, and then what we'll do is annotate those and let them know that they were pre-approved because they were complex projects that they requested an extended time for. But I can't generate something like this in XTRF, but I can use the data that we've gathered in the background to create reports like this. Vendor errors or vendor nonconformities, same thing. We can see on a very quick basis which of our vendors are being challenged with errors that we're reporting internally. So from a vendor management perspective, we can not worry about those vendors that are performing well, but we can really very quickly see those that are in red or orange to say this is where we need to be spending some time doing some root cause analysis. Something else that we have always done in our company from a quality standpoint is we've focused on statistical analysis. And we talk a lot about control charts, a little bit more advanced than typically I would present on. But control charts are all about finding the outliers, right? You don't want to be focused on every little mistake. A customer says, you sent me a file that had the wrong name on it. We'll track it. We'll track it. We'll track that it was a nonconformity on our deliverable. But we still have a benchmark. If we have 1,000 deliveries for a specific client in a month and we've missed on 2 items and they were pretty minor, I'm going to show them that the system's in control. There are going to be a certain number of errors we can anticipate. But when there's an outlier, we can say this is beyond the standard deviations of what our expectations are. So we created specific reports to do all of this analysis behind the scenes for us, and we can go ahead and investigate those things that legitimately are CAPAs for root cause investigation. So those are a lot of pictures and a lot of discussion about samples of things that we do, but the bottom line was I wanted to just share with you an enhanced plugin that we use for all the data that we're collecting to be able to go to our clients and say we can custom build the reports that meet your pain points and the information that you want, and do this in addition to what XTRF is already providing. That's it.
Okay, last thing. Anyone has any questions for Donna?
More likely, directly.
Not about poor projector.
Go ahead.
I assume it's an ongoing process to set up these reports, but how long did it take to set most of them up? Or does it?
It depends on the complexity of the report. Some of the reports I can set up in 15 minutes. But the nice thing is, once it's set up, it's automated, it's done, you don't have to manipulate it again, right?
So
Some of them will take a little bit longer.
So now you have all the data from XTRF in the Tableau software, so you can just create, you don't have to go back to XTRF or ask for any other additional features.
Correct.
But, yeah.
Correct. Because we have to keep a backup of the data every night for our specific client requirements. We just use that data every night to just repopulate the database and do the manipulations on the data itself in the background.
Okay. Anything else from anyone?
You mentioned about the customer satisfaction survey. And you said that you're using it in XTRF. I'm just curious, do you use the manual process for that, for physically sending that, the survey, or have you that portion automated?
We are now, only because we just started using it this year. We're testing it out, but we wanted to kind of see what the results look like. So we're not certain if we're going to continue to use that process, but we're doing it manually right now.
Right.
We have some ideas of what the criteria will be, and ultimately we'll set up like a periodic job
okay.
for that.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, so thank you, Donna. You're free to go, and thank you very much. Okay, so last but not least, we will have a presentation from Robrecht, from ElaN, about the portal allowing his company to manage in-house.
Okay. Thank you for staying here and trying to listen to me for my small presentation. It's the first time I give a presentation for an audience I'm not familiar with. So, first of all, who am I? I'm the CEO and owner of ElaN Languages, Belgium-based LSP. I have a software development background, so I'm not a linguist from my studies. And I'm not used to speak in public, so it's a very short intro about myself. Well, background for ElaN Languages, it's important for what I'm going to say. We're a Belgium-based LSP. We do translations, language and communication trainings. We were founded in 1990, so back then there was no internet, so we had quite some changes over the last 30 years. Let's say we have 35 employees on our payroll. And I'm going to talk to you about the internal planning for our internal proofreaders and translators. Not all of you are working with internal proofreaders, some are working only with external people. But we use the smart project with XTRF. We've been using it since October 2016. I think we were quite fast to start using it among their customers, integrated with MemoQ. We had our fair share of problems, but yeah, we're still here. We're still working, and it's improving every year, and every upgrade XTRF keeps improving. We have a full integration with MemoQ, so most of our project managers don't really log into MemoQ unless there's a problem. We have quite good integration set up with the project templates in MemoQ, and then all things that are possible with integration. And we have 4 internal languages. What I mean by that is that we do proofreading of the 4 main languages for us. It's Dutch, English, French, and German. We have internal people who do proofreading for those languages. And in total, we have 6 project managers and 16 internal proofreaders. And at our company, it was our internal proofreaders who are used to managing their own schedules. So when we started using XTRF, we had a problem because they could log into XTRF as a project manager. They only had the vendor portal, but there they could not assign any jobs. They could just see what jobs are assigned to me, and I can do them. So that's why our problems. And we were looking for a solution because we wanted them to manage their own schedules, to assign jobs, reassign them according to language and specialization, of course. So we were looking with XTRF, how can we solve this? And the solution came through all the APIs that XTRF offers, so we created our own custom portal for that. It's an ongoing process, and yeah, the the more we use it, the more features we add to this portal. So we've been using it for, I don't know, I think something more than 2 or 3 years now, but we are already on version 6.5 for internal version numbering, so it has a lot of features and upgrades. How does that look? Well, it looks better in real life than on this presentation. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can read all things on the screen, but basically it's of course web-based. Every proofreader has a login, can log in and select their name or their language. Well, at the top they can select the language for their team, and then they have provider A not assigned. You see at the top there, those are all the jobs that are not assigned. So when we assign an English job, for instance, we assign a proofreader, or the project manager assigns a proofreader, but he doesn't assign a proofreader. Then it just comes to this portal. The data comes directly from XTRF, and they see the deadline, they see the specialization, they see who's the translator, they see the start date, have all that information in there, and then they decide, well, I'm going to do it or I'm going to assign it to one of my colleagues. We usually work with one planner every week, so they switch between the team. This week, person A is the planner for English, person B is the planner for Dutch, and so on. So they have quite a nice overview there. It's you see the green lines, and it's grouped by day, so that's also a problem if you're using the vendor portal. You see all the jobs, just one big list, and you don't see, well, what's my workload today? You have to count it manually, and here it gets an overview. You have this volume of total words due today, and also the weighted quantity is also in there. And then they can, of course, just review everything. And on the next slide, you can click on every green bar to open and see the details of each job. So the green are the days, the rest are the details. Some data is blurred, but some wasn't necessary because the beamer does the blurring for me. And we have some color indications, of course, in there. Then you see here at the back there, just a simple drop down with every team member in there. Just select this job has to go to this proofreader, and then it gets assigned in MemQ and in XTRF as well. The colors here were added quite recently. The red one is an intensive care client. It's a client that's really, really important. You have to do really, really thorough proofreading and cannot afford any mistakes. The green one are the very important clients, but not as important as intensive care clients. So they're also quite important, but not as well. And then you have all the rest, of course. Then in the front, you see some more icons. So if you have your job instructions in XTRF, you have instructions for all jobs. Those are the little green eye icons at the front. If there's a specific job instruction that has a different color, it's also available here. And then you see some more icons. That means that's a translation job, because we also do in-house translations. We can know if it's a translation job or a revision job. At the beginning, we also had a problem with our integration when a freelance translator delivered a project or a file. Then it went to our proofreaders, but the status in MemQ didn't change. So to solve that, we added this little magic wand icon that you can just click on there, and then the status in MemQ is updated through the MemQ API. Then another feature is, well, our team is swamped. We don't have any more capacity to do any in-house proofreading. We want to ask the project manager to assign this job to an external proofreader. There's also a little button on there. Then an email gets sent to the project manager, and the job gets assigned to a special vendor we created. It's called assigned to external proofreader. So there are a lot more requests from our people that were added. You see these little checkboxes. So our people say, well, what if you want to bulk assign 10 jobs? Well, just select 10 jobs, click on the top of the screen, click assign to this vendor or to this teammate, and it gets assigned to that vendor, to that colleague. So that's very convenient for us. It saves a lot of time for our project managers and gives more control to our proofreaders. They're much happier because they can choose which jobs they do. And of course, you need to have some kind of check on that. Do they do enough volume? And that's why we also integrated the BI. It's also much more clear on a normal screen, but we use Power BI, and we have reports in there that just get the data from our, I'm not sure what the English word is, but it's the employment office, let's say, saying this person worked 15 days this month, so we get the volume, and then we calculate this person did on average for this month 5,000 words translation per day, 2,000 words per day, and proofreading of 12,000 words per day, so we can monitor that and tell somebody, well, we only did 6,000 proofreading words a day for this month, that's not enough, we need to have a little dog, so we can control if the system is also working. That's right. Couldn't see it all, but maybe you have some questions, or maybe it's not relevant if you don't have any in-house proofreaders, but any questions?
Thank you. So, how do you get the data from XTRF? Do you use some intermediary program, or do you read it directly through the API?
At first, I read it directly to the API, but we had a problem with 16 people entering the site, and it was getting a couple of views because you didn't see it on the screenshots, but we don't use the start date for a project. The start date, we look up a project and we see, okay, what's the translation job and what's the proofreading job, and we get the deadline of the translation job, and that's what we use as a start date, because there was a lot of data transfer going on, and the system became too slow, so now we changed it, and now we have a database that just refreshes every 5 minutes and gets all open jobs and stores that in a small database.
Mm-hmm. So you have developed the database yourself as well? Mm-hmm. I see, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Regarding the workflow, will the proofreader receive a notification, or will the project manager get in touch with them?
No, they will receive a notification. So they have their portal open, so they assign. When they're assigned, it gets assigned within XTRF, and the normal XTRF flow just applies. So they get you have a new job mail like that. So the PM doesn't have to do anything.
Okay, we have still a few more minutes. Any more questions? I guess not. So thank you very much, Robrecht, and thank all of you.